This video demonstrates how to use XY type data in ArcGIS. Um, XY data is a data set where the location is expressed in with an X coordinate and a Y coordinate in some geographic referencing system. And the goal would be to take the XY formatted data and uh, use it to create a shapefile where the locational information in that shapefile is inherent in the shapefile, and one doesn't have to keep track of particular XY coordinate locations anymore. Data that's collected with a GPS receiver, such as something that would be done by a field experiment or a field survey, will be also XY data. The XY data is reported by the GPS receiver, and the attribute that is associated with that location would be whatever the field scientist observes in the field. I have a data file here called bulk storage locations, which shows the location of bulk storage facilities across New York State, and most of these are gasoline or oil or other storage places for various dangerous substances, and they're generally regulated and monitored. And this is a very large data set, and it includes the name of the facility, a wastewater treatment plant, a pool company. Pool company would probably have a large amount of various pool chemicals on hand, and these are all addresses. But also in this data set, there is a column called UTMX and UTMY, and these are X and Y coordinates in a coordinate system called Universal Transverse Mercator. And the name is complicated, but it's a common way of assigning a number system to coordinates on the Earth's surface. Another one is latitude longitude, which is something you've probably heard of. It is possible to take a data set like this, and this is the exact form that this data set comes in. So there not only is the process of using XY data valuable for taking field GPS data and putting it on ArcMap, but it's possible that a data set might come to you with just XY coordinates instead of coming to you as a shapefile. So what I'll show you in using this, I'll show you in using this in ArcMap, the process of importing that, of converting it to a shapefile, is really fairly straightforward. You only need to go to File and Add Data and Add XY Data, and this is the tool for converting an XY data in a shapefile or a text file of some sort, converting it into a shapefile, geographic data in that format. So to find it, I'll browse and try and remember where I left it. And there's the location of it in a folder somewhere that I can keep track of. This is an Excel workbook, so I click on it, and in the particular, there's only one of them. The particular Excel sheet that contains the data is called this, and I can go ahead and say Add. And now I do need to make a few additional inputs into this dialog box. For instance, I can say that the X coordinate is in UTMX, the Y coordinate is in UTMY. Don't have a Z coordinate, we're not doing a three-dimensional analysis. We also need to tell the computer, this is a very important point for now and in the future. You have to know, and you have to tell the computer what coordinate system the data was collected in, what coordinate system those numbers represent. And right now it's unknown, and if it's unknown, the process won't work. So I do have to ask for edit, and the coordinate system that this data is oriented to, and I got this by looking at the website where I downloaded this from, is a projected coordinate system. It's a UTM coordinate system. It's the datum of 1983, and we are also currently in zone 18N. And that probably did not make a great deal of sense to you, not having had a week or two of studying what a coordinate system means. But the thing that is understandable and that one can remember is the coordinate system has to be known to the person who collects the data or obtains the data, and the coordinate system has to be specified to the computer in order for it to make the conversion properly. And as I said, I found out the coordinate system for this data set from the site where I downloaded it from, where that was specified. So now I can just go ahead and say OK, and OK again. This warning is not a problem. I don't even think it rates a warning, but this message is not even important. And what I have now is the locations of bulk storage facilities in New York State, mostly petroleum products, but also a few other things fall into that category. And there's a couple of strays right here, which is an interesting problem. I can investigate what these strays are by asking for the Identify tool and clicking here. And apparently this location in Utica, New York, whoever inputted the data failed to put in valid coordinates. So the point just got thrown here somewhere on the equator apparently. And this one probably a similar thing. In this case, the person who entered this data forgot to put in a y coordinate, so it's also sitting at the equator down there, or something like the equator. So those are two stray useless points that are in error, and many data sets have inherent errors in them. You hope that it's not much. Now, if we'd like to, we can look a little closer at this data set by zooming in, and clearly, as one would expect, the populated areas have more facilities of hazardous materials than less populated areas. In order to get something specific that can be mapped and we can work with, what I'd like to go ahead and do as well is add the and once I load it, I'll say it, the Yates Township data. And there's Yates County and the towns of Yates County, so that we can focus in on a specific location. And I'm able to right-click on that and say Zoom to Layer. And this shows me Yates County, the townships of Yates County, and all of the bulk storage facilities in Yates County. To make a nice map out of this, as a kind of a finished product here, I can double click on that. I can ask for hollow, make them double width, so we can see through. Might be nice to add a base map, such as the road network, for references. It's on its way. I think I'll use that one. And I'm starting to put together a decent map of, not worry about that, a decent map of the bulk storage facilities in Yates County. And I think that for the purposes of this exercise, it's probably not necessary to trim this down any further. Not necessary to trim this down any further, so that these other points outside of the county can still be displayed, and that's not a problem. What I can do for this layer is ask for properties and symbology and categories, and we can perhaps symbolize this by the status name, and I can go ahead and add all values, and this symbol for all other values, meaning ones that are not on the list, there's none of those, so no use having anything in the legend for that. And now I do have several symbols for each of the categories of status: active, inactive, unregistered, or unregulated. Not really clear what those are, but they do allow us to show that there are different types of sites. There's a handy thing that can be done. One can right-click anywhere in this region and say properties for all symbols, and actually increase the size of these symbols all at once, and say OK. And here's a reasonable display of the bulk storage facilities in Yates County. Most of them seem to be reds and greens, unregulated or closed, or active, and the other ones are less so. And now we have, using the layout mode, we can create the location for, it's taking time to reload. We can take the time, we have the opportunity to add a title and a legend and a scale bar and a few other features as well. So it's slow to reload that base map. There we go, I think. Um, and oh, it's also slow to reload these dots because it is reloading right now all of the dots for all of New York State, even though we're zoomed into this small collection of them. So this is close to being approaching being a decent finished map. So that will end this lesson.